Is there an exercise that people could do who are just hearing this program and want to try something, easy at home, kind of?
The very easy one?
Yeah.
The most popular one is called palming. And
Yeah.
that's one where you close your eyes and you cover them with the palms of your hands. So basically the center of the palm will go over the center of the eyes. You do both eyes. You close your eyes underneath there. Make sure most of the light is excluded. And you allow your eyes to rest like that. And in the time that you're doing this and you're keeping your eyes closed, the darkness is a rest for your eyes. But also the fact that there is absolutely nothing to see is like a message for the brain going back to the muscles, saying there's absolutely nothing for those muscles to do at the moment. This is a perfect time for relaxation. So the darkness, the fact that your hands are covering your eyes, so even if you were to open your eyes, it's still dark, still nothing to see. So it's a perfect time for relaxation, and allowing yourself to just sit there 5 minutes, 10 minutes, longer, will get that level of relaxation to deepen. And the deeper it goes, and the more that you can then keep that relaxation afterwards, the better you'll see.
Now, is this cumulative? Like if you palm for a few minutes every day, will the eyes kind of learn to relax or remember that feeling, sort of?
I think so, yes. If you get very comfortable with palming, you do it a lot, then at some point, even just the thought of palming will help you relax.
Huh. So the eyes will just remember what it feels like when you palm, and
Yes.
from that thought, just pick it up.
Pick it up and get back to that level of relaxation.
Now, when you sent me some of your materials, because I know your story pretty well, but I remember when you had a tragedy in your family, your niece passed away.
Yes.
And I remember when that happened a few years ago, but I didn't realize that that had an effect on your vision, right?
It did.
Yeah, what happened?
Well, basically, I think the stress from watching my niece get ill, be in hospital for 8 months, she had leukemia, and the worry about it all, and talking to my parents every day, getting the news from my sister on how she was doing, and all the chemotherapy she was going through. The stress was incredible. And I found that as the months went by and the hope of her getting better was reducing and reducing, I just put that stress in my eyes, which most vision teachers probably do, because we all come to this profession because we cured our own eyesight, which
Right.
means we all had a tendency to put stress in our eyes.
That's true.
So-
Did you panic when that happened? Because like, oh my God, I'm a Bates eye teacher. Here's my vision kind of going. Like
It wasn't panic. It was definitely a little worrying, but it wasn't
Yeah.
panic. I just knew that it was the stress, but I also knew there was very little I could do about it at that time. I just had to go with it and say, okay, when this is all done, I'll take care of myself. But right now, I could barely concentrate. I could barely read. Everything, even at arm's length, was getting so blurry I could barely read.
So it was starting to affect your
It was affecting my near vision,
near
which is
vision.
opposite from what it had done before.
right.
So it was an interesting self-study that went on.
Well, yeah, that was interesting because I read what you did. Tell us what you did to heal yourself.
Well, after she finally, unfortunately, died, and I got home and kind of relaxed for a month or so, I realized it was time to really take care of my own vision. I then ended up doing a palming session, and I gave myself a whole day. I said, okay, however long it takes, I'm going to just sit today, switch off the phone, put on some good music, and I'll just palm until I feel better. And I ended up doing 6 hours of palming that day.
Wow.
It's my longest session. I've never done that long.
And what happened?
Well, the first 3 hours were crying, a box of tissues next to me, working through emotions, basically. And after about 3 hours, I calmed down. It seemed like I ran out of tears and just felt better and better, and the calmness just came back. And I ended up doing a total of 6 hours, and at that point, I felt so good, so relaxed, so I've let go of everything. And so I then ended the palming session and found it made a huge difference, and that reading was so much easier again. It wasn't totally clear yet, but it was here at arm's length. Everything was totally clear. It's just the nearer point still needed a bit of work, but it made a huge difference.
So basically, that kind of allowed you to turn the corner and really
Yes.
did start to heal your eyes,
Yes.
right? Because when I read that, palming seems like such a small thing, but the fact that you really started to reverse that situation was very impressive with all,
Yeah.
turning to palming for that.
I think palming is the best thing. I spoke to a colleague this weekend. She had a retinal tear. She just had a diagnosis of terminal cancer for her father and has been under stress for that reason, and found that in her right eye suddenly there was a blurry patch, and it turned out it was a retinal tear. She went to an ophthalmologist to have it checked. And the ophthalmologist, of course, said, we should laser this right now. And she, being a Bates teacher, said, not today. Let's wait a few days. And she called me and said, what would you do? And I said, I would palm for as long as it took. And I'd probably go out in nature and take a walk and just, be in fresh air, be in sunlight, and just relax this weekend. And she did that. And she let me know this morning that she went back to the ophthalmologist this morning, who could no longer find the tear.
Really? How interesting.
So
wow.
Palming is just amazing. This weekend she did 2 sessions of, I think, 5 hours and 4 hours.
Wow.
To help herself. She went out walking on the beach. And, palming, it can be an amazing thing for your eyes.